Good day, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Vise Squad. This Wednesday edition of the Vise Squad, I guess. I'm Ryan. I'm your host for Wednesdays. And here we are. I'm back after a couple weeks. I had a much needed break. I've been burning my candle at all three ends these days. That's the way it's been going for me. But we're back. So this week, we're going to tie, this is an ice fly. I would like to thank Kyle, who commented on the glow grub video about ice flies. It's definitely overlooked and maybe not as widely popular as maybe they should be, especially in the, the Great White North where I live, where we definitely fish them through the ice quite a bit. So, thank you, Kyle, for the comment. Really appreciate it. And for anyone else, if there's something you want to see, please reach out to Rick, Bryce, Adam, or myself, and or even one of our sponsors, who is this is my good segue, isn't it? The Anadromous Fly Company and Fly Life Co. If you want to reach out to any one of us about something that you want to see tied, we can definitely arrange that. The other little bit of business, Rick modified the store a little bit just recently and kind of cleaned it up a little bit, made it a little bit easier to find a few things on there. So if you're on the mobile version of fishingandoutdoors.ca for Canadian customers and .net for international and US customers, if you scroll down to the specialty stores on the mobile version, you will find, that's where you'll find Anadromous and Fly Life Co. That's where you'll find their stores. It was a little muddled before. You had to scroll quite a ways, and it was sort of difficult to find them. So Rick modified the store, and now it's easier to find it. Desktop users, it's just on the left-hand side, I do believe. You can find it under specialty stores. Anadromous Fly Company, Fly Life Co. Okay, on to today's fly. Now that the business is done, this is an ice fly, as I mentioned. This is my take on a dock Spratley on a jig hook. It's weighted, so it'll get you down for some good ice fishing. Anyway, in the vise, this is a size 8, 90-degree jig hook with a 532 slotted gold tungsten bead, and I've got 7 or 8 wraps of 020 lead wire on there. Hopefully that's not too shaky. It seems really shaky today. Hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, definitely check your regulations if you're going to be using lead. I know that up here where I live, we can use lead almost everywhere except for the national parks. So you just got to kind of be careful what you're doing out there. Check your regulations. Always check your regs. We're going to start that thread. I'm going to start it behind the lead. And I'm going to run it back to the bend. For the tail, I had it laying here somewhere. I'm going to use a Gadwall duck feather. I recently got these from a good pal over at Anadromous, and I'm going to use them today. Very much like a mallard flank feather. Very much like a mallard flank feather. Just got some more darker, it's got not more bars, but darker bars on it. Maybe heavier bars. So I think it looked pretty neat. Anyway, so we're going to put a little tail on that guy. It doesn't need to be too terribly long. Definitely not the length of the hook. Maybe about like that. Maybe like kind of the hook gap plus a bit. Might be a good unit of measurement for that. And we'll tie that up. I'm going to tie it up right to where the lead is. And snip that out of there. Next, I'm going to grab our ribbing material, which will be some extra small gold ultra wire. You could use small, could use brassy. I just happen to have extra small sitting on the desk, so we'll use that. So I'm going to tie that in on my side. Doesn't matter, I guess, what side you tie it in on. Not for this guy anyway. Alright, tie that in down to where our tail is. Make sure that's tied in really well. See, my lid has just popped up just a little bit here. There we go. Okay, next what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my scissors down and I'm gonna just use my thread to build a nice tapered body up over the lead and get everything covered in really good. So Rick will probably chuck this into fast forward for us here so you don't have to sit and watch me go around and around and around and around real slow like. All right, so once you're satisfied with your taper, we'll grab that wire. And we'll make some nice even turns, working forward. And we'll tie that off. A little wayward. As long as they're close, I think you're okay. And we'll spin that out of there. Alright, so on the first one, I coated that in bone dry. I think I'm going to leave that one. Don't necessarily need it. Probably help with some durability if it is coated. I think I'll leave it on this one. Next, we'll go back to the Gadwall feather, and we're going to put some, I guess you could call it a throat in. We'll put a little clump on the underside of the hook anyway, behind the bead. And maybe just a little better than half the length of the body. Something like that. And we'll grab our scissors and snip that out of there. Like so. Now for the wing, we are going to use some pheasant tail. So I've got some natural pheasant tail, not dyed or anything. If you wanted to jazz it up and change the colors around, you definitely could use some dyed pheasant tail. Probably wouldn't hurt at all. So I've got a small clump, probably 1/4 inches, maybe 10 or 12 bits of feather there. I'll tie that in right behind the bead, right on top of the hook. And I want that just past the bend of the hook. Something more or less about there. I'll reach in there nice and tight. There we go. Okay. Next, which is a little different than normal for Doc Spratley, I'm going to add another bit of wing to this. So I'm going to use some peacock sword. This is dyed purple, just because we all know that purple is a favorite. So for trout. So I'm going to grab, I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe bits of the sword here. And I'll cut them off the stem. Like that. And these do have a curve to them, natural curve to them. So I want to try and keep that natural curve sort of going with the hook and pointing down. And we'll make those just a touch longer than the pheasant tail. Pheasant tail should help kind of hold them up, and support them while you're fishing them. That's the idea anyway. So we'll snip the butts out. This is where having a real nice set of fine point scissors comes in handy. All right. So that should stick up sort of like that. Next, we're gonna put a collar on there, which I've got some orange dyed peacock. Just sort of, I suppose it would act like a bit of a hot spot. There. Okay, so we have two pieces here. And when I'm working with peacock herl, I always snip about the last inch of it or so off, just because it's very, very fine and very brittle. It tends to break anyway. So we'll just tie that in nice and gently. And then we'll just make some forward wraps with that herl right up to the bead. And we'll grab it with our thread. Tie it off, and then we'll snip it out. And then we're going to grab our whip finish tool and finish that off. And we'll throw two in there, we got room for it. Right. A bit of head cement or some bone dry, some UV in there to secure that knot, and you're good to go. So I've fished these through the ice last season, and they look fantastic, and they fish quite well. Actually, we had some pretty good success with these little Jigged Spratleys here. So we've tied them. I fished them and tied them and fished them in olive and yellow, red, purple, black, brown, tan. Fished them in all sorts of different colors, and they all fish well. They all seem to do quite well through the ice. So yeah. So thank you, Kyle, for commenting about the ice flies. I totally agree with you. Fantastic to fish and fun to fish, and definitely overlooked by a lot of people. So I'll probably do a couple more ice flies in the next few weeks here, just because it's the start of winter here. Finally, we got some snow and some ice in Calgary, and we'll be out on the water hopefully sooner than later. But we'll see how that goes. You never know. At any rate, thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button and the bell beside it. You won't miss any of our upcoming content, which there is all sorts of content going on these days with Bryce and Adam tying up all sorts of fantastic patterns as well. Big thank you to Rick for all the hard work you do, and especially a big thank you to Anadromous and to Fly Life Co. You can check out all their gear on the specialties tab of fishingandoutdoors.ca for Canadian residents, .net for American friends, and international ones as well. Specialty stores. You can find it. Just scroll down a little ways on your mobile app, and it's on the left-hand side of your desktop if you happen to be on your laptop or computer or whatever. At any rate, everyone, I'm rambling, and it's time to head out. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.